When was the last time a movie made you stop and say, whoa? How often did you talk about that scene in discussions of that movie? Some movies challenge fans. Some scenes fans will disagree over, and others will touch our hearts in ways that can't easily be explained. The following 10 scenes are some of the most controversial we've ever seen, but be warned, there are spoilers. Finding Dory, lesbian couple. Finding Dory may be the long-awaited return of the Finding Nemo cast, but it didn't arrive without its share of controversy. Remember the scene with the toddler in the park? It may have escaped your notice while the characters tried to escape, but there's an important nugget here: two mothers. That's right, Pixar introduced a lesbian couple into the film. You can imagine the sort of outcry that generated from various groups around the country. The Dark Knight Rises, neutron bomb. Batman saves the day, again, by flying a neutron bomb out over the bay outside Gotham City and sacrificing himself to save the residents. But if you've studied the physics, or, think about it at all, nothing makes sense. That's not how nuclear weapons work. Even if the city had survived the massive shockwave that would follow the explosion, the radiation would make it completely unlivable for years to come. More than one fan shook their heads in confusion at this scene. The Avengers, Coulson's death. Joss Whedon is a fantastic director, but he's known for killing off everyone's favorite characters with glee. When fans discovered he would be directing the Avengers, everyone was on edge. Surprisingly enough, however, Whedon wasn't responsible for the death of everyone's favorite S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, although he said he knew he'd be blamed. Instead, we should blame Loki for stabbing him with his giant stabby thing. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Roxy's Knees. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a strange film to begin with, but this one scene takes the cake. As Scott fights Roxy, one of Ramona's ex-girlfriends, he can't get the upper hand, until Ramona tells him to target the back of Roxy's knees, one of her erogenous zones. This causes Roxy to collapse into giggles on the floor and explode into coins. Some fans interpreted this scene a bit differently and tossed accusations that Scott may be a sexual abuser. Suicide Squad, Harley and Joker's relationship. Suicide Squad is a controversial film for a huge number of reasons, but one of the foremost revolves around the drama-filled relationship between Harley Quinn and Joker. The controversy began before the film released. Joker is clearly abusive, but Harley loves him anyway. This type of relationship hit a bit too close to home for many viewers, leading many to criticize the film regardless of how close it remained to the original subject matter. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Harry and Hermione dance. Everyone knows Ron and Hermione are the perfect couple, even if J.K. Rowling says she thought about making Hermione and Harry a couple. In the first half of the seventh film, the two are alone in the forest, scared and cold. The scene very much reflects an atmosphere like that scene in World War II films. The characters can't be blamed for seeking a human connection. As Harry holds out his hand and the two begin to dance, the film heavily implies that things lead to a more horizontal dance. If you think about it, it makes sense, and certainly lends credit to Ron's concern over their budding relationship. Star Wars: A New Hope, Han shot first. If there is only one thing to pass on to our children in the future, it's this: Han shot first. In the 1997 remake of A New Hope, the scene had been modified to show Greedo taking the first shot shortly before Han returns fire. However, in the original, Han shot first and last. Greedo never even got a shot off. Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Han's death. The moment he and Chewie went different ways, we knew something terrible was going to happen. You never split up the party, but even knowing something was up, we weren't prepared for what happened next. And we still aren't. How many conversations about The Force Awakens ends up in angry rants about Han's death? You know what I'm talking about. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull, nuking the fridge. I'm sorry, I didn't realize Indiana Jones was a Michael Bay film. Seriously? That's not how refrigerators work, and that's not how nuclear bombs work. Actually, that's the second nuclear-related item on this list. Filmmakers really don't understand how splitting the atom affects the world around them. To survive an explosion, Indy crawls into a refrigerator, only to climb out unharmed after flying thousands of feet through the air. Can I get a nope? WALL-E, obesity. WALL-E is one of the most adorable robot films ever made, but some fans saw it as painting obese people in a poor light. In fact, the message was that laziness and reliance on machines was bad, and that people should be more active. But alas, it wasn't taken that way. Other than that, it's hard to find much fault with the film. WALL-E and Eve are far too cute to criticize. South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. South Park has always been a controversial show, but most parents ignored it until the movie was released. Between the advertisements on television and movie posters, children suddenly became aware of its existence and the questionable subject matter was brought to light. Of course, the entire point of South Park is to question the current state of affairs in the country. Religious groups in particular took offense to the South Park movie, urging parents to avoid letting their children view the film. A Clockwork Orange, The legendary Kubrick film has long been regarded as groundbreaking. Not only has the movie been given an X rating, one of the very few films to achieve this, A Clockwork Orange was also almost banned in the UK because of fears of copycat break-ins. Between the break-ins, violent murders, and brutal rape scenes, and the horrifying rehabilitation of Alex, A Clockwork Orange is not a film for the faint of heart, but a true masterpiece any Kubrick fan would enjoy. Whether you find them touching or infuriating, these films and their scenes are some of the most talked about in movie history. If you know something we don't, like the video and leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to CBR for all of your movie and geek culture needs.